Hi there, come on in. Winter is now with us. It brings a range of outdoor activities. What we're interested in right now is preserving a little bit of summer by fishing some of the open water for walleye. Now, it's kind of interesting fishing because it's using basically summer fishing techniques. We're going to be up on the Tittabawassee and catch some walleye. We have a great recipe for walleye and orange sauce, and we're going to drop back and look at a winter goose hunt with bow and arrow. All this coming your way in just a moment, so stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night, time for Michigan Outdoors. Michigan Outdoors is underwritten in part by Auto Owners Insurance Company. Life, home, car, and business insurance available through your local independent auto owners agent listed in the yellow pages under insurance. Auto Owners, the no-problem people.
Major funding for this program is provided by STRO. By sharing the responsibility to preserve our natural treasures, together we ensure our right to enjoy them. STRO, partners in preserving America's outdoor heritage.
This is what our favorite fishing rivers look like in the winter in Michigan. Well, except for the faster moving rivers, or ones that are below spillways or power plants where the water remains open most of the year. And believe it or not, from December through March, anglers do launch their boats and fish like it's summer. Bill Rustum dons a snowmobile suit. Bob Garner puts on extra layers of wool. And walleye guide Dan Mannion even wears ski goggles to protect his eyes from the frigid wind as he cruises upstream on the Tittabawassee River to some favorite walleye holes just below the Dow plant. Now, it's no secret that fish don't eat much during the winter, but they do eat, and the relatively few anglers that brave the cold make some good catches, oftentimes with the use of a graph. Finding the holes where the walleye congregate is the secret.
Well, what I like to do is come in and graph a hole out.
Take a look, see if there's any fish.
Well, that and check out the structure and just see how the hole is laid out. I mean, I like to get at the deepest part, but in front of the deepest part, or off to the edge of it, and then quarter cast to the shallow side and bounce the jig back with the current to the deepest part in the center, and then slowly work it back towards you. Sometimes the walleyes will be laying out on the flats, though. I mean, that's just something you have to find out. You work an area a little bit. I kick in the trolling motor and move us back 10 or 12 feet, and we just keep on checking the whole hole like that. If it doesn't pan out, well, then you just move up to another hole until you finally... A lot of people make a mistake of just staying in one spot and casting in this, over and over and over and over, and if you ain't catching any fish, even if the fish are there and not active, hey, you might as well try something else. Oh yeah,
Fish on.
now he'd probably come off that shallower trough over there. I'll bet you he did. See if you can dig that net out there, Bill.
Yeah.
Looks like a nice one. And then just kind of hand it over to me like my other rods. We'll get a nice shot of me landing this beauty.
Walleye aren't known as big fighters, even in the summer when they're active. But to call them sluggish in the winter, well, that isn't always accurate.
All
Nice
right.
fish, Bob. Look at that baby.
All right.
You got a dandy?
Yeah. Already got one.
You know what happens? You catch one and then you throw back and catch another. I mean, they move up.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you won't catch nothing for 20, 30 minutes, and then bang, 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 bang.
It's funny how fish in the winter seem bigger for their size than they do in the summer when catching them is easier.
Couple of pounder, huh?
That's
okay.
That's a good eater right
That's
there,
eaters.
buddy.
Hey, that's what I'm interested in. I want eaters. I don't want the big spawners. I want the big eaters. The eaters. Okay, where do we put this?
Downstream, where the river is frozen, fish like this are caught through the ice using jigging lures straight down. In open water, summertime lures are more common, especially jig heads with plastic tails, with one important addition: a piece of minnow. Now, not the whole thing, just half, enough to add the element of smell and flavor to the jig.
Right here, I got a fish on.
What a guy, what a guy. Mr. Walleye.
All right, another walleye.
Another walleye headed for the dinner table, which you might question. In 1989, the National Wildlife Federation published a news release alleging that many Great Lakes fish were hazardous to eat. That report, according to a group of 7 Michigan State University toxicologists, was scientifically unfounded, the research methods were inappropriate, and the conclusions were incomplete and misleading. In a nutshell, Great Lakes fish are still safe to eat and still fun to catch.
You'll feel it hit bottom. Then just lift and drop.
Just reel up slow.
Yep. And it'll work all the way behind the boat, and then work it all the way back to the boat. Don't lift with your arms, lift with your wrist. That's how slightly you want to lift it. You don't want to lift it more than 3 or 4 inches off the bottom.
Got him?
Yep.
All right.
Where are you going, pal? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, want to hit me that net?
This is what that steelhead did last December. He just took off across the hole.
Well, anglers do fish for fun because fishing is basically fun. But most fishermen concentrate on the fish they like to eat. Now, you saw Bob Garner excited about catching the small eater, as we call them. The very abundant smaller fish do make better meals for taste and texture.
Where are the smoke
Yes.
cans? Get rid
Uh-oh.
of the smoke.
He's not hooked very good at all.
Okay.
Not hooked very good at all. Go for it. Go for it.
Oh, there we go. 6-pounder, 5.5.
No, we're looking at, I'm gonna guess 4 3/4,
4 3/4.
maybe 5, being this pregnant.
Yeah.
Dan doesn't really mean pregnant in the traditional sense, but this is a good-sized female that's carrying lots of eggs. Those eggs are the walleyes of the future. Some of those eggs will hatch to be monsters. Many will attain the eater size, but most will be eaten by other fish when they're very small. So this big female is released. Those big ones are fun to catch, but if you're catching plenty of smaller ones for food, think about letting those bigger spawning size fish, the productive females especially, return to the water so they can reproduce. In the long run, that'll put more fish in the river, more to catch and eat for the future. But don't feel guilty about keeping the big ones you want to have mounted. Preserving trophy fish for many people to see and enjoy is also a positive use of our fishing resource. Winter walleye, a good way to warm up for summer on the river.
Here's Dave Minto of Davison with the monster 12 3/4 pound Saginaw River walleye. And here's a great story of Susan Watt's Oakland County 11-pointer with a 19 1/4 inch spread.
Now, you've been hunting for how long?
2 years.
Who got you into hunting?
Kind of myself. It was self-interest. My brothers and my dad had always hunted, but not recently, and I just kind of took it up a little bit. My dad encouraged me, and my husband encouraged me.
Your husband, huh? Was he hunting with you on this day?
He doesn't hunt. He goes with me, but he carries the sandwiches in the backpack and the coffee.
Is that right? Now, this is a...
And he sleeps, and he snores out there while I hunt.
Your husband snores in the blind. That's it grunting. That'd get him in.
Right. That particular day, I was out by myself, and I saw him, the 11-point buck, from about 200 yards across the back end of a swamp through my binoculars. And I decided, about 10 minutes of watching him, my heart pounding, I decided I'd get up and walk around the end of the swamp, and it was about a 300-yard hike around to the back, and I got into the back end of the swamp, got down in the swamp 10 yards from it before it knew I was there, and it stood right up on me, and it's like, oh, there it is. And he turned to run, and so I got him in the back, broke its spine with one shot.
Did your husband wake up? Oh, no, he wasn't with you on this.
Sleeping in the bed at that time.
Great story, Susan Watts. You are truly our Michigan Outdoors Big Buck Hunter of the Week. Incinerators, prisons, low-level radioactive waste dumps, and sanitary landfills are all causing public outcry around the state, and that poses a problem for Fred and me. See, not a day goes by that someone doesn't try to get us involved in their cause. They see TV as a way to draw attention to their battle, and naturally, Michigan Outdoors is one of the places they look to for help. Now, while there are a couple of reasons we stay out of these issues, the most important one is this. Michigan Outdoors sticks with hunting, fishing, and the shooting sports. That's our agreement with the PBS stations, and that's been our pledge to our viewers. Now, we're not saying that environmental issues don't deserve attention. They certainly do, and they should get it on public affairs programs and in the newspapers. Both Fred and I have strong opinions on environmental matters facing our communities, but you won't hear them on this show. The things you will hear will fall within the realm of the Outdoors Club credo to promote public understanding of hunting and fishing, appreciation of wildlife, and enjoyment of our great outdoors. That's the reason we're here on Thursday nights. Do any animals prey on bats? Only a few owls and hawks prey on bats. Because of their flying skill and radar, bats make difficult targets. However, the bats of the East Indies are preyed upon by the Malacca Pern, an extremely agile hawk that hunts at dusk and catches bats on the wing. The biggest bucks, bears, elk, and turkeys will be on display, all taken in 1989. The banquet is usually an early sellout. Be sure and reserve your tickets early. Now, it's rare to get a chance to both hear big fish stories and to see the fish to back them up. That's March 24th in East Lansing.
Well, with lots of activities on our outdoor calendar, you might not want to choose the next one. This is really stacking the odds against you. But hunting geese with bow and arrow. We tried it in years past. Let's take a look at it. Canada geese are magnificent birds, but in the past 20 years, the population has not only been booming, but the large variety, the giant Canadas, weighing over 10 pounds, have decided to spend their winters in southern Michigan. Because of the amount they eat, they leave a lot of litter on lawns and golf courses, and they've turned into a major pest in southern Michigan, even in the winter. For the past few winters, the DNR has opened a special goose season around the urban areas in southern Michigan to try to eliminate some of the problem geese and also give hunters an opportunity to put a few extra geese on the table at this time of year. Now, you hunt in the winter much the same way as you do in the fall, decoys out in the field, using calls to try to attract the flocks in. But of course, you have to wear lots of long underwear. On this day, the wind chill was 7 below. Well, that's right. We're going to be hunting geese with bows and arrows. Bobby Knope, a well-known hunting and fishing guide throughout North America, set this hunt up for us, and it's right next to a major southern Michigan city. This field is so close that firearms aren't legal. That's why we're using bows and arrows. And we're not using compounds or even recurves. We're using the old traditional longbows. You've seen Ron LeClaire on Michigan Outdoors with his longbow. Ron has been a longtime muzzleloader and bow hunter. He founded the Michigan Longbow Association about 5 years ago, a group of people who enjoy using the original bow that had been used for thousands of years and wasn't modernized until recently. Also on this hunt was Norm Blaker and his son Dave. Both of them are excellent hunters, particularly good with longbows. Now, you can tell by the number of arrows that Norm brought that he's a real optimist. But his equipment is all self-made, not just his arrows and bows, but much of his outdoor clothing he made himself. We set our blinds in a fence row, set the decoys out 20 or 30 yards, and this day was spent watching for geese coming over the horizon from a nearby river, which has open water most of the winter. Keeping warm was our main project, and the lack of geese on this day gave us lots of time to talk about hunting. What's your range, Norm?
Oh, I'd say 25, 30 yards. We ought to be able to make it look interesting at least. Mm-hmm. I'm not positive that we're going to have any tremendous kill, but hey, if one of us gets one, I'm going to feel pretty good about it, really.
Yeah. The closer the better, actually. If we can get them in close, we got a better chance.
Now, the bow you're using the Great Northern Bush bow.
Great Northern Bush bow. This is just like yours, Fred.
Mm-hmm. Except the weight. The draw weight.
Well, this is 70 pounds, and yours is
25, is it?
I wished it was. That'd be nice.
Well, what do you actually? When in this kind of weather, cold weather, when you're bundled all up, it's better to have. If I had a lighter bow, I'd probably have it. Like maybe 60 pounds, even 55 would do the job.
What about you, Norm? You cranking a 100-pounder?
No, I'm shooting about a 60-pounder myself. This is a bow that I made myself, and we'll just see how it turns out. It's been shooting pretty good for me, so I'll give it a try.
Now, the arrows. What arrow are you using, Ron? Just a broadhead, like a deer hunting broadhead?
Yeah, this is a. Normally I use a 2-bladed head on deer, but I tried some 3-bladed heads. I thought.
Now, being traditional archers, though, the Indians shot geese.
Yeah.
Using flint broadheads. Yeah. You're not using one of your flint?
Not today. I'm using regular steel arrowheads today.
But you've taken with your own flint arrows that you've chipped.
Yeah, I've
taken a variety of game.
Oh yeah, I just killed a black bear this year with a flint-tipped arrow, and completely skinned him and cut him up with a glass knife, which is like an obsidian.
Mm-hmm. Norm Blaker is quite a guy, an original mountain man, independent, as close to a pioneer as you'll find in the 1980s. Now, you've seen this group of fellas demonstrating their archery skills at the outdoor fair. They put on a shooting show that's very entertaining and impressive. They warm up on styrofoam discs. You can hear the arrows hit. Well, that's impressive, all right. But then they work down even smaller. Now watch Norm Blaker smack this tennis ball out of the air. Tennis ball is still just a warm-up. They get down to 50-cent pieces. And believe it or not, when they shoot at these small coins, you can even hear them hit. No doubts there. In slow motion, it's impressive. And can you believe that the 50-cent coins are still just a warm-up? Here, Ron LeClaire tries for an aspirin, tiny white pill. You can see it as we rock back and forth in slow motion, that white aspirin right there above the trees. The shot? The aspirin doesn't come down. He got it. Ron LeClaire and Norm Blaker captured my attention and my admiration with their longbows, so much so that I've become a longbow shooter, complete with a specially made quiver with the Outdoors Club logo. I'm giving this traditional archery a try. The main reason? It's fun. Finally, 15 minutes before sundown, after waiting all day without having a goose come near, one goose appears over the horizon and heads for our decoys. The moment we've been waiting for. None of us have ever tried this before, and it's over in a flash. We all missed, but was it a disappointment? Quite the contrary. What do you think, Mr. LeClaire?
That was exciting. That was worth waiting all day for, just that one goose and that one shot. Next time I'll know to shoot a little higher. He was farther out than I thought, I think. I shot a little bit low.
We found our arrows.
Oh, yeah, we found them, yeah.
That was great. Now, I want to know why, Norm, you didn't shoot sooner. He was over right in front of you.
I don't know. I thought he was going to land, and I thought, well, I'll try that. And then bingo, everything started happening, so by the time I got a decent shot, it wasn't a decent shot anymore, so I didn't get a shot. No problem.
Well, Davey, you took a fling.
You betcha.
What do you think of goose hunting with a bow?
Only one? I don't know.
Well, let's take a look at this golden moment one more time in slow motion. Ron's shot was a little low and slightly ahead of the goose. Mine, on the other hand, was high and behind it. Now, just above the trees on the right of your screen, you can see Dave Blaker's arrow streaking in, a dark shadow back and forth in slow motion. Now, his shot was on target, but ran out of gas over the distance. Well, we didn't solve the nuisance goose problem. We didn't bring home any meat for the table, but we had a great day hunting geese in Michigan outdoors.
Tim Major sent us a recipe for walleye and creamy orange sauce. And it's an excellent recipe for walleye because walleye meat is so delicate. And there's an excellent piece of walleye that you do need to skin it. This one is not skinned. You do need to fillet it and skin it. And I think this recipe would work good on salmon and lake trout, except that is going to be a little bit oilier. Now, any of your whitefish, like your perch or whitefish or your panfish, would work excellent in this recipe. Gonna cut the fish into your serving size pieces and put it into a greased baking dish. And this is what gives the flavor to this whole recipe, is grated orange peel. It doesn't take very much at all to really have the orange flavor come through. You're going to make a white sauce out of melted butter and a little bit of flour and a little bit of onion, which I was kind of surprised at in this. And the secret to this whole white sauce is just to keep everything stirring so that it doesn't stick to the bottom. You are going to go ahead and add your orange peel right to the white sauce. A little bit of salt and pepper, and then half and half. And if you didn't want to use half and half, you could use milk in here. It wouldn't be quite as thick and might take just a little bit longer to cook, but it wouldn't be as rich either. And you do want to cook this until it's just good and bubbly, and it takes, about 4 to 5 minutes of constant stirring, and it will thicken up and get bubbly. And this is the consistency it should be, just a little bit thicker than your half and half. And all you're going to do with the sauce is just pour it over the fish. It's just going to make like a coating over the fish. And you do want to make sure that each and every little piece is covered. And then you just cover the dish with aluminum foil, and it goes into a 300-degree oven for about 25 minutes. And I think Bob's opinion should be unique.
I wouldn't give you 3 hoots for fruit and fish, okay? Fresh fruit and fish. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't like it. I don't like fresh fruit with meat or whatever, but this recipe is great. Makes you think of a nice, warm Florida sun this time of year, doesn't it?
So well with this walleye recipe.
It does. It does complement the walleye. For some reason, it complements the walleye, and it's beautiful.
Oh, walleye is so mild. This tastes like the dreamsicles we used to eat.
It does.
That's what it tastes like.
Hey, don't get the idea it ruins the taste of the walleye. That's a bunch
it
of
doesn't.
bunk.
I
It
agree
doesn't.
with you. I don't like fruit on my fish, but boy, I tell you, this has changed my mind.
This is
excellent.
very delicate.
Maybe we'll try it with grapefruit next time, huh?
I probably were.
I like grapefruit.
Not only is this recipe delicious, it's easy to prepare like all our recipes in the January-February issue of the Outdoor Digest magazine.
Some of those eggs will hatch to be monsters. Many will attain the eater size, but most will be eaten by other fish when they're very small.